Good evening. My name is Greg Young. I'm the current chair of the Northborough Conservation Commission, and welcome to the July meeting. This open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of June 16th, 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. This order allows the Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Clark.
Here.
Diane Goulner.
Here.
Todd Helwig.
Here.
Kelly Marston is muted.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Mia McDonald.
Here.
Fred Litchfield.
Here.
Jim DiGiulio.
Here.
Ground rules. For presenters and/or applicants, the chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until their name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call vote. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Diane, we're ready when you are.
There will be a meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission on Monday, July 12th at 6 p.m. pursuant to Chapter 20 of Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID measures adopted during the state of emergency found in the law June 16, 2021. This meeting will be conducted via remote registration. No person in attendance by members of the public will be permitted. To participate in the public comment portion of this meeting, we go to Northborough Remote Meetings YouTube channel or town website for Zoom information. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, and the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw. The request for determination of applicability for 1 Lancaster Drive, map 28, parcel 12, by Eileen and Peter Breeze for proposed construction of a patio and associated site work. And that's it.
Good, thank you. Tom Beals has joined us. Tom, could you identify yourself, please?
So I have not seen Mike or his visual turn on, so he may have be having trouble connecting.
Okay.
But I'll be on standby for that.
Okay. Tom, I see your name, but I see nothing else. Okay, we'll come back. Meeting minutes from June. Any questions or comments on those from the commission?
No.
No questions, comments? Then we need a motion.
So moved.
Motion made by Todd and seconded by, was that Diane?
Yes.
Very good. Okay, roll call vote. Dan Clark.
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Okay, public hearings, stormwater bylaw. That's you, Fred, and you've got some consultants here.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I just wanted to give you an update. I had hoped that we would have a version ready for you to finalize for us tonight, but due to various reasons, that's not the case. But I would like to get any comments or questions that the commission may have so that we can take it back with our consultants, Emily and Cassandra, who are here from Ty and Bond, to craft a final product and bring it back to you in time for you to review it and hopefully adopt at the August 16th meeting. We had forwarded you, I believe that Mia had forwarded you the draft previously with her comments of things that she was concerned about, which have also been forwarded to our consultants. And we are working through changes to accommodate those questions and concerns. But at this point, I don't really want to go through the entire bylaw, regulations page by page, save us all the pain of having to do that. But I would like to get any comments that the commissioners have from their review so that we could incorporate them into a final revision that we could present next month, hopefully a week or two before the meeting, so you'll have a chance to review it. We also want to have it in time to send it off to town council for some legal review, just to make sure we've dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's and we don't have any conflicts with the bylaw that was adopted at town meeting on May 1st. So with that, I would love to entertain any questions or comments the commissioners may have.
Well, I've got, my first comment is I'm disappointed that we're not going to go through a line-by-line review of 27 pages of exciting documentation.
As the chair, that is, you do have the final say on that, but there may be a mutiny.
Okay, fine, very good. I'll start with one question I had here, and that is that's on page, I think it's on page 15. It's around the riparian zones.
15?
I think it's on page, at least on the copy I have. My copy was the one I had was marked up with comments. Section 5. It really just follows up on Mia's question there too, which is, doesn't an order of conditions cover most of the riparian zone work, and do we really need this in there?
I'm going to let Emily tackle that one, but my understanding from our conversations earlier today that some of the items that are in here are maybe above and beyond what's required, and there is some duplication. I forgot to mention before, staff's goal for this set of regulations is to mirror the local bylaw and the Wetlands Protection Act as closely as possible in order to minimize any additional administrative duties that would fall on to Mia or myself, but mostly Mia. The goal is to try to mirror it so that we're not duplicating effort and we're also not causing any undue burden. The other thing to note is that because they're regulations like your local bylaw, they can be amended at any time simply by holding a public hearing and offering some changes. And quite frankly, the goal is to kind of minimize it in terms of keeping it as simple as possible, and then waiting to see how it plays out. And if amendments are required, once the DEP amends the stormwater handbook and we get a few applications under our belt, we'll have a better idea where we need to maybe modify. But I'll let Emily, if I haven't stolen all her thunder, answer that.
No, can you hear me okay? Because I switched to my headphones.
Yep.
Yes? Okay, good. So actually, you went right to a section that I think we were a little bit anxious to talk about. The sections in the middle here, 4, 5, and 6 about tree protection, the riparian buffer, and mitigation of thermal impacts are all optional sections. We were working off of a model regulation that we worked on with the North Middlesex Stormwater Collaborative. And as part of that project, we tried to look into our crystal ball to see what's been, some emerging issues that maybe we could get out ahead of with some of that model language. These were optional sections that are above and beyond what's required in the small MS4 general permit. We can't quite predict where the new handbook is going, but these might even be beyond the handbook at this point. We think that there's some merit to it, but if this is more than you want to do at this point, it could certainly be added in the future.
Well, some of these items might be, when staff and you work together to review all this, these might be dealt with and eliminated or enhanced or changed or edited or something. So.
Yeah, and I think maybe Mia, you could speak to this a bit. Like, I think we're leaning towards maybe just getting rid of some of these optional sections at this point and wait and see where the handbook goes in the next year or so. And then if there still seems to be a gap under the new handbook, maybe we consider adding this in at that point.
Can I hold for 1 second here? Hey, Jim DiGiulio,
Yes.
is there a way that either you or Mia can reach out to Tom? Because I see his name on the screen, but there's no microphone or anything.
Me and I are emailing back and forth. We're working on it. Yep.
Fine. Any questions from the commission on this?
What
I
is the,
have just, go ahead.
what is the thermal impact on a riparian zone, and what's the nexus with that and the stormwater?
So the thermal impact piece was for any cold water fish resource in Northborough, which you have a few streams that are designated as cold water fisheries. So in those cases, we would want, mitigation of the thermal impacts of, water running off of hot pavement. So we're looking more towards, again, maintaining those buffers along the stream bank to keep things cool, but also looking at filtration, infiltration, different BMPs to cool the water. And again, that's in that optional section. It goes above and beyond what is required in the permit at this point for the town.
Thank you.
Dan, you have a question?
No, I was just gonna say, it just seems like there's an awful lot of tightness to this that doesn't leave much leeway on some things. But according to you, this can be altered or will possibly be altered with further discussions?
Yep, and I don't want to speak for Fred, but
Yes.
Thank you, Fred.
The goal is to meet the minimum requirements and optimal protection without overcomplicating the whole process and putting extra administrative burden onto staff. So the optional parts, we're going to confer after this. We're looking for your feedback to see which you feel might be necessary to keep in, but my personal opinion will be try to remove everything that's optional, implement the regulations, issue a few permits, see if we feel it needs to be more restrictive, find out what DEP is finally going to release for the stormwater handbook, and then we'll probably have at least one amendment to the regulations with a public hearing somewhere down the road in a year or possibly two.
And we're okay for timeline, right? If we don't get this approved until August or maybe even September, we're not going to be in violation of any state statute requirement or?
No, we met the requirements of the EPA permit by adopting the bylaw at the town meeting prior to June 30th. The regulations are a necessary part of that in order to properly administer the permit. But the current understanding is that the bylaw will not absolutely be effective until the Attorney General's office approves it, and they have 90 days from the day we submitted the bylaw for their review, which happened on June 7th. So we're looking into at least September before that will happen, perhaps later than that, because the Attorney General's office is, I understand, a little backed up. But again, the goal would really be to come back to you at the August meeting with a version that we're comfortable supporting and asking for your blessing. And hopefully at that time have already received the blessings from town council. Again, the town council reviewed the bylaw. I don't really foresee any legal issues, but it's a chance to have another set of eyes from a different perspective, check the i's and cross the t's and make sure we're good to go.
Dan Clark, do you have a question, Dan?
It sounds like it was answered. It sounds like you're removing section 4, 5, and 6. I think that's what I heard.
Most likely, yes.
If you don't, or it stays in, there is an error in 4D3. Invasive tree species. I don't think Mass Wildlife does that. It's DAR. They determine what's invasive, what's not.
I'll highlight that.
My guess is it will come out, but we'll do a little research and make sure we have the right reference if it stays in there.
Tom Beals, since you joined us, do you have any questions? You're muted, Tom. Can you unmute? You can't unmute. Okay.
Tom, I don't know if you're on a mobile phone.
Nope, I can see
No.
you.
Well, yeah, so you can still zoom in on a mobile phone. I don't know if there is a way to unmute you on that.
So I guess when we vote, Tom will give us either a, I guess. Okay. Very good. Mia, anything else you want to bring up? You're
Here we
closer to
go.
this than anybody here, except the consultants and Fred.
I think you guys are getting towards the heart of what I'm trying to find out is if you want these more restrictive things like the additional stuff in the riparian, additional tree protection. This would be the opportunity for you to put it in there, but this, it's not in line with the wetlands regulations, especially, Todd, you brought up, we already have a whole bunch of standards to meet for work in the riparian zone under the order of conditions. And Fred and I tried to think of an instance where someone would be clearing an acre of land in the riverfront area and not require an order of conditions. We can't think of a single one, any exemption. So everything should be covered under the order. But then if you want to address thermal impacts, if you want to address more specific tree removal, thermal impacts can also be addressed if you don't want to abandon the idea in your order, because we talked recently last month about how you have the opportunity to expand those buffers, those 25, 35 buffers, whenever you could consider thermal impacts to be one of the reasons to extend those buffers. So it's going to be, we're not losing any ground, and anything you want to add back in, we will have this, and it just takes a public hearing to change the regulations.
Kelly, didn't mean to Kelly Morrison, didn't mean to drop. Do you have any questions, Kelly?
I don't know if I have a question. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm also losing my voice. I do like some of the restrictions that have been put in because I feel it's easier. It's not easier, but we could give a variance to allow a restriction as opposed to wishing we had the restriction to be able to enforce. But I do definitely agree that our current regulations cover the majority of this, but especially with the thermal, I think as we get a couple of years into it, they're going to be more important. That's all my thoughts.
All right. Nothing else? Fred, at one point in time in my corporate life, we had some folks, some senior managers that whenever somebody came in with a new policy or what, they said, fine, as long as it can be fit on an index card, you can put into your pocket. Use both sides of it, but anyway, good. Okay, so then we'll see you in August.
Before you go, is it the consensus of the commission to remove sections 4, 5, and 6?
I'd like to kind of see, my view is I'd like to kind of see what staff comes back with after consulting with the consultants.
Okay.
Less is better. Anytime we can get rid of anything we're not going to use or that we already cover in something else, I'm for that. But that's just
Yeah,
me.
do you think we're going to have 2 votes at every one of these applications? Like we're going to have a close the hearing, vote. And then we're gonna do the stormwater thing. So we're gonna, for every application, we're gonna take 4 votes.
Yes. But this is just for sites that clear over an acre. I mean, we get 1 or 2 of those a year.
Okay.
I guess it's similar to the planning board or the zoning board having a public hearing for a special permit under 2 sections of the bylaw where they have to address them both in any decision that they make. Hopefully that's not too cumbersome for the commission. So the timeline, just to go over it one more time, the next meeting is on August 16th. I'm assuming that I'm not going to get any more comments from the commission as it stands. I know there's at least Justin's not here tonight. We'd like to hear from him since he works in that field and try to get him to send us something in the next week or 2 so that we could then incorporate those if there is anything that he catches that we haven't. And then send it to you and to town council at the same time, and then come back to you on August 16th with a final draft.
Before we do that, before we go for it, I think this is a public hearing, correct? So we should take
Correct.
some public input. So
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
we have some attendees. Does anybody in the audience here have a question or a comment about the stormwater bylaw discussion? I'm looking for raised hands. Don't see anything. Going once, twice. Done. Okay,
Okay,
very good.
thank you very much for your time. Look forward to seeing you next month with a slightly pared down version.
A big pocket, Fred. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks a lot,
All
folks.
right. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
All right. We've got 161 Church Street. And that is Mike Morrow, right? I don't see him here.
I just moved him over to
Oh, he
panelist.
came
He
in. Okay. Yeah,
should be
he's
there.
fine.
Yep.
All right. Good, good. Hey, Matt.
Good evening.
All right. All right. 161 Church Street. We met last month. We talked about this. We had some recommended changes. I think, Mia, a new plan came in today. Have you had a chance to look at and digest it at all or not?
Yes, I took a look. I'm sharing it now. Can you see it?
Mhm.
I can see it, yes.
Okay. I'm going to zoom in. Matt, do you want to take us through the changes?
Okay, so at the last meeting, we had spoken about looking at alternative locations. I know one of the items was perhaps coming in and taking a right angle and going in so it would pull right off the street instead of doing a turnaround. I had sent Mia an email that I actually had, when I was looking through my notes, had discovered from a long time ago from the Board of Health that I had asked them about the possibility of a driveway going over the existing soil absorption system. And their response was no. The only way that they'd even consider it was if you took the existing leach field and septic system and moved it to the other side of the house, then they might be inclined to consider it, which would cause more problems than it would resolve. So we consulted with the architect, and our engineer consulted with the architect. We basically tucked the garage up a little bit more, tucked the wall area up a little bit more. So we have a driveway that essentially goes right up to the edge of the floodplain, but stays out of it. So we're now entirely out of the floodplain. There's no compensatory storage necessary. The proposed retaining wall that's on there is only a 9-inch wall. It's just a small wall that basically will act kind of like a diversion area, kind of like a high wheel stop. It'll be burned so that, nobody goes off the driveway. The unique little right angle structure you see over by the existing soil absorption system is actually the best we could do for a turnaround on there to allow vehicles to pull in. So that's what we've got at this point. We've now been able to work with the architect to at least tweak it, tuck the garage up a little bit and pull it out of the floodplain. I mean, the garage, the way it'll attach to the house, yeah, it'll be a little bit more clumsy, but it still functions for their needs.
So Matt, the wall is really a 9-inch berm.
Yeah, it's really a 9-inch berm.
So there's no material going to the wall other than the dirt that's there.
Basically,
Okay.
correct.
Is the wall outside 35 foot, no build zone?
Doesn't appear to be, no. That's the, that looks like the last obstacle we have left is the 35-foot zone. Yeah, I mean, as far as the wall goes and speaking with Mia, I know she kind of agreed with me on this because it is close to the floodplain. One of the conditions that I suggested was staking out the limits of the floodplain to ensure that, you know, obviously no work goes within there throughout the life of the project. I mean, we've been really, as you can see by the length of time that goes by, part of it from COVID, but part of it from just trying to reconfigure and go through all sorts of different configurations with this lot because of its unique setup. It's been very, very tough to try to get something that can fully meet the bylaw without a waiver.
So what does this new plan eliminate from the last one we saw, Matt?
What it eliminates is it eliminates any and all fill that is within the 100-year floodplain. It does bring the development a little bit closer to the roadway without it losing its function entirely. And it is a little bit of a smaller driveway than what was originally proposed.
So the original plan, which had you doing some work across the other side of the house into that riverfront area, that's not going to happen?
You were talking about the addition. No, that was removed.
Yeah, no, we were talking about under the previous plan that you were going to do some, was it compensatory on the other side of the driveway?
Yeah, no, that's been removed. That's been removed because we're not doing any filling, so there's no need for compensatory.
Okay, good, good. So the only issue we have in front of us then still is, from our perspective, is the existence of a wall inside the 35-foot or parts of the 35-foot, but the wall is not a structure, it's a dirt berm. Is that
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing that would require like a structural engineer or blocks or anything like that. No.
All right. Questions from the commission, comments?
Is the suggestion that because it's an earth berm, it doesn't violate the 35 setback? Or are you actually you're still asking for a variance from the setback requirement?
Well, at this point, I have to ask for a variance from the setback requirement. I mean, we've tried to tuck it out as much as possible. We've looked at other alternatives to make this garage entrance work. And we're not able to move it. We did get it entirely out of the floodplain and we eliminated the need to do work on the opposite side of the lot to do compensatory storage, which we had in the last plan. We can't go over the existing soil absorption system because the Board of Health said no. They basically said, if you want to do that, you're going to have to move the system to the other side of the lot, which creates more problems than it would resolve. It doesn't resolve anything. It just makes more work and a potential for another variance. So you're better off to leave the system where it is. It works under Title V and it works for you guys.
Well, it doesn't work for us though, does it?
While we're on this, so the retaining wall, I don't have a detail on what it's made of, but it's going to be an earthen berm.
Yeah, it'll be a berm.
Like a Cape
Actually,
Cod berm.
On the plan, Mia, he has a note on that.
It just says extend 9 inches above the surface of the driveway.
Right. Essentially, it'll be a berm. It will probably, the top of it will probably be paved like with bituminous concrete along the end of the driveway.
So a paved Cape Cod berm, like a
Basically,
bituminous.
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, need some help here in terms of what's considered a structure or not inside 35 foot. If it's just dirt, on 9-inch dirt.
It's paved dirt, so it's considered
But-
part of the driveway
So
and
we
it's a
add, when we
structure.
add paving to it now, that changes everything.
Yeah, I would concede that it's a structure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's meant as a structure. Even if it was an earthen berm, it would still be part of a structure. So
And how much, let's see, you're not inside the entire length of the 35 foot, right? Parts of it, how much is actually, or is it? How much of this berm wall is actually inside the 35 foot?
take a look. Mia, can you zoom in on the line? So I don't have the code in front of me, but if I recall correctly, the blue line was the limit of the floodplain and the yellow line was the limit of 35 foot. Is that correct?
That's right.
So it basically touches the 35 foot no touch in one spot where you can see it curving into the garage on the bottom of that berm structure. It's like right on the very edge, and it goes right along the end of it, maybe a foot in.
And the floodplain in the field, that's going to be done by a surveyor. Someone's going to go out and stake it, because I think I read that this was from the town GPS.
No, it would have to be staked. You're correct.
Okay.
And if you want it done right and with accuracy, I mean, it's not going to take long for a surveyor to go out and stake that. So it's not like it's a whole heck of a lot of expense. So.
But where this is from the town GIS, I'm worried that if they stake it and it comes in here, then the design would have to change.
Absolutely, but I don't see that as happening. Jerry's pretty confident of that line.
Okay.
Greg, I guess I'm still a little, if it's only a foot over that line, you can't move the driveway a foot the other direction?
It's been tweaked to the max as possible to be able to function so that you can actually pull in, do a turnaround with sufficient width for a vehicle, and then go into your garage, or, you know, be able to pull into the garage and then back out without having to back out totally into Church Street.
But that's not the traditional reason why we grant waivers, right? I mean, you don't have to have the garage, you don't have to have the turn-in. Usually when we're doing waivers, it's because there's no other place to put a septic system that you need to have the house. I mean, I can't imagine that you can't move this a foot so that you can't tell us that it's out of the no touch zone so that we can do this without a waiver.
I would have to think the same thing. I mean, I'm not an engineer, but it's only a foot.
Okay, I will talk to my engineer and see if there's anything he can do.
Mia, you had a question also, and we spoke earlier about the existing driveway.
So it's in relation to a previous waiver you granted for a driveway within the 35 on Maple Lane. And you had allowed the driveway to a garage extension, but they did significant mitigation. They did some real restoration of a 25-foot buffer that was severely degraded. So in concert with that previous waiver and this site, and I also spoke with Fred about curb cuts on Church Street. The DPW really, because Church Street is such a busy street, they really don't want to see 3 curb cuts on this site, and have requested that the curb cuts be reduced and at least one of them is abandoned so that there's a maximum of 2. So hearing that and knowing we need mitigation, I would recommend that we remove some of the pavement from the existing driveway. That would provide a big improvement to the riverfront area. It could act as mitigation and satisfy the reduction in curb cuts. But it's just a recommendation. The entire site is riverfront area, so there's a lot of room for mitigation.
So is the thought there that by removing all or part or most of the existing driveway, that if the commission decided to grant a waiver, we'd have some sort of precedent to fall back on, that the waiver was granted with the overall improvement of the site as a consideration?
That would follow with your previous waiver request. It was a net improvement on that site.
What's the commission's appetite on that approach?
I think that, you know, there's been, you know, plenty of back and forth on this, and, you know, the adjustments have been made and we're right on the line here. I would be okay with giving it a waiver, so that for the 1 foot difference that we're talking about. And if the owner is willing to, you know, eliminate one of the curb cuts, then that's a plus.
That's Tom Beal speaking, right, Tom?
Correct.
Okay. Dan,
No.
Todd, any thoughts? Diane?
No, I would agree with Tom. I think it's awfully tight there and they've made so many adjustments. A foot. Okay.
I guess, I don't know why we couldn't do both. Get rid of the curb cut and as a I mean, I just don't understand the reluctance. I always feel like we're second fiddle to other people, other boards and their requirements, right? The fact that the DPW would prefer that there be less curb cuts and they want to use that so they can get less curb cuts for them means we got to take a haircut on what we require, right? We can't get a variance for the septic system, so we should give a waiver on what we're doing, right? I just always hate that we always seem to be the lowest common denominator when it comes to this, and it's just a foot, right? But that's why I know it's nothing. I mean, I get it, but I don't like it.
Can I just say at this point, you know, those nice stormwater regulations where you're dropping a lot of parts of it? This is the kind of thing that you run into, where you have to squeeze and twist and turn in order to try to get all the regulations covered. So I would say just giving an inch or so isn't going to kill us.
I'm sorry, I'd like to recommend that you don't give a waiver of a foot without mitigation. Every waiver you give from here on out will set a precedent. The next person who walks in the door, if they want to waive a foot, you have to grant the waiver. If they have, because they want a garage.
Yeah, I don't think we should give a waiver. I think you should move it a foot.
But you have granted one waiver in the past where you waived the 35-foot no structure, but you got mitigation with a net improvement on the site. So that's the current precedent. So I would recommend either following the current precedent or no waiver.
No
The
waiver,
bylaw's less than 2 years old.
no waiver then.
I would agree with that, but
Mia, can you remind me how far were they into the 35 when we granted the waiver?
I think they might have even been touching the 25. I could try to pull it up. It's like, I think it's 70 Maple Street. But the way the waiver was written is there was a waiver from the 35-foot no structure, and possibly and a waiver from the 25-foot no touch because they were restoring the 25-foot.
So for them to move the structure was actually more of a problem than just the 1 foot here.
What was that?
Sorry. So for them to move the structure on the project where we granted the waiver would have been more of a burden than, for instance, this project where we're asking them to just move it a foot.
There was no alternative location there.
And so for here, we do have a foot is feasible, I guess. Okay, I was just wondering, I couldn't remember the project. Thank you.
So, okay, in listening to the exchange I have here, I mean, I can understand what everybody's saying, and I get it. Worked with waivers and things like, what Mia was talking about for a long time, so I get it. My take on it is, depending on how my client feels, because I don't know if she's on tonight. I know I had spoken with her. I mean, I can go another meeting and talk to the engineer about moving it out a foot. And if you can't move it out a foot, then I would propose some type of mitigation, because going to what Mia was saying, I could totally understand you guys wanting a public benefit, or a benefit to the wetland or a resource area in exchange for a waiver of like a foot. I can totally get that.
Sorry to interrupt. I believe the applicant is here. I just see it's a nickname, I believe. Is it Raji Rahan?
Yep,
Okay, yep, I can move him in if you'd like.
that would be great if you could. Thank you.
Not a problem. Yeah, sure. Sorry, I wasn't sure of the name.
And I don't know if she wants to contribute or not, but
I
So
did
they-
find the other site if you want to look at it.
So I did ask them to unmute, and I believe they have. So.
Hey, Raji.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thanks for hearing our application. And I don't know the exact terminology about all these things that you're saying. I'm not trying to break any rule. It's been so long, and it just every month I look forward to this hearing to think that it's going to be approved, and we have done everything possible to do this. I do want to respect the regulations, and we can only go back to the engineer and say what it takes to move that 1 foot. Because from my point of view, it's all grass, and I don't see what you're referring to. And I'm open to closing one of the opening for the existing driveway, because our house is treated like a U-turn driveway anyways. So I don't mind closing that. I just, when you say the word about the, whatever the wall, 9-inch wall, I originally thought it was 9-foot wall, but thanks for clarifying that it's a 9-inch. And if it's a 9-inch, whatever that burn thing is, if it is not a structure, why would that be a problem? I don't understand, but I'm just leaving it to you guys, whatever is best for the town.
Well, Raji, I think that part of the discussion from the berm was that the top of the berm is going to actually be paved, which makes it a
I don't
structure.
know what berm means, so I'm
Berm-
sorry if I'm sounding too ignorant. I
No,
don't know how it looks. So in my mind, when they said it is dirt is something that can be dissolved or it can go down. So I don't know how berm looks.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I am sensitive to the delay aspect of this, and I mean, I think I would be willing to approve it, if they can agree, and Mia confirms it, that they resubmit a plan showing it out of the 35 foot, then I think I'm done. Right? I think we could vote on that. I could vote on that tonight if they can just commit to that.
Raji, can you commit to, I could probably get Jerry to move it out the foot.
Yep.
But I would like to see that plan before we vote on it.
You are the boss.
Other commissioners, what's your feeling about that?
Hi, it's Tom Deals. I'm okay with given a variance for a foot if they're willing to do eliminate the curb cut. And, they have made every effort to try to meet the bylaw, and when we originally pushed out our, no disturb area and our no structure areas, we did, have the ability to, still do a variance if a circumstance required it. And I think for the difference of a foot that we could make that compromise.
Okay. Dan, what are your thoughts?
I guess my only reluctance with, if it's only a foot, I don't see why we would have to sacrifice our regulations. They should sacrifice moving their driveway a foot. I'm not sure why we would concede. But I guess keeping the foot and having one of the driveways go, I don't know what that looks like. So what do you mean the driveway goes away? What happens in its place? I would need to see some sort of detail about what actually happened before I would agree to it.
Diane and Kelly, any ideas, any thoughts on this approach?
I feel like a variance or a waiver should be given when there's no possible alternative. If there is an alternative, I don't see the need for the waiver. I do like the idea of mitigating and getting more lawn there and less impervious. But for the foot, I agree with Dan.
I'd like to see a diagram or something of what's going to take, get it back the way it should be, or get it the way it should be.
And Mia, I understand because of attendance, we only have 4. Am I correct that we only have 4 commissioners voting on this? Is that accurate?
The voting commissioners on this are Dan, Diane, Greg, and Todd. That's who's been here through all the meetings.
Since they first came with which was it, September? No, October? You get the notes.
September, 1st September.
Well, it sounds like given the input and given the voting situation here, I think we need to see another plan with either the foot removed in terms of the driveway pushed over, or the foot stays in some sort of mitigation plan. Although that seems to be not a slam dunk.
May I share the 30, if you'd like? I have the 30 Maple Lane mitigation plan that you approved. Just so the commission, I don't know, do you guys remember this mitigation plan?
Is that the one you're through Ray Wayne's house, not too far away?
Maple Lane. Can you see this?
Oh, sure. Yep.
So they did put a driveway and a garage in existing lawned area, and they were within the 25 and 35. There was no other location. The property line is just to the east here. And this was the mitigation plan you required. They removed a shed. They had 2 sheds. They removed one, and they did a full planting plan in this disturbed bank and buffer. So it was significant, and it provided a very good, all you lost was existing lawn, very similar to this project. We've got existing lawn that's going to be converted to impervious and structures. And the mitigation was a very robust planting plan. So I'm hopeful, with the net improvement on this site that you were able to gain, I'm hoping that you hold that standard. Or just move it a foot.
Super. Good. Thanks, Mia. Okay, so we need to take a vote, Matt, but it sounds like we're looking for some more data here, another change. Get rid of that. could find that foot and you, it sounds like you're good.
Okay.
If you can't find the foot, you have a mitigation plan. You might be good, you might not. You know, that's what I heard tonight.
I believe the term you used earlier was not a slam dunk.
Not a slam dunk on that side. But I mean, there's
Gotcha.
4 voters here, so.
No, I understand. Raji? Okay, then I'm going to request some continuous to your next meeting.
All right, very good.
What's the
Let's,
date of your next meeting?
August 16th, 8:16.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Need a motion to continue.
So moved.
Motion made by Todd. Is there a second?
I will.
Seconded by Diane Goldner. Roll call. Mia, can the non-voters roll call on this or not?
No.
No. Okay. Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. Good luck. See you in August.
All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Where are we next here? We are at, 0 Hudson Street's continued, correct?
That's right. They have a
And-
request to continue.
Where we are on that one is we're trying to agree on the delineation, the flagging.
They've requested another site visit to review the wetland flags again. There hasn't been another disagreement, just the one initial disagreement, and they've reflagged and asked for a new site visit, which is scheduled for this Thursday.
Is this something we should have peer reviewed, or is that beyond the pale for this?
Not yet. I still have to go look at it.
Okay.
So
I think if there's a stalemate, Tom, on the agreement, then that would be probably the time for a peer review on the flagging anyway. Hopefully we come to an agreement and go from there. Do we need to vote in that continuation for
yes.
0 Hudson Street? Need a motion to continue 0 Hudson.
So moved.
By Todd Helwig,
Second.
second by Kelly Marston. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right.
I just want to make sure no one is out of that. 0
Make sure.
Hudson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think Todd was not present in May. So Todd is not on that hearing. So I need a motion. I'm sorry, I missed that. Opened in May. So I need a motion by someone other than Todd.
I motion to continue.
Thank you. And a new second, because Kelly was the second.
I'll second it.
Diane seconded it. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So Mia, is Todd out of all voting on this one going forward?
Yeah, they opened on May 10th and presented, and Todd was absent that night.
Okay, but Todd he can contribute as a citizen.
Yes, he can comment, he just can't vote.
Lincoln Street. 097 and 99 Lincoln Street.
Let me check the
That
meeting.
would be Waterman and Hamid Hatami.
Good evening.
Hey, Brian.
How's everyone doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good.
You?
Oh, not bad. Had a tree fall in my car last week, so
Oh,
dealing with that.
Do you get a new car out of that?
Not yet. The adjuster thinks it can be fixed, so I'm gonna see.
Welcome, Hamid.
Sorry. So just picking up where we left off last time, we
Yep.
submitted new plans that addressed the commission's comments from last meeting, mainly construction entrance. We expanded on the finalize the rain garden designs. There was a request for the sump systems on the ACO area drains, so we've added those and the detail and the elevations on the plan view. We did a planting plan for both the all 4 of the rain gardens, as well as the there's an area behind units 1 and 2, which is the south building there, that part of the 35-foot no disturb zone had been historically cut. So we're showing a restoration area of that. We finalized the sizing and elevations for all the infiltration systems. So I think we've addressed, let's see, what else? Oh, we added some signage for the rain gardens. We had addressed the snow storage areas, which is on the next plan in the previous one. But so I think we've addressed the comments that were received at the first initial meeting.
Hey, Brian, before we go to the next page, can we just go back to the comment about 35-foot and the mitigation?
Oh, yeah. So Mia, can you zoom up on the south? Yeah, right there. There's, oh, no, the south lot. Sorry. Yeah, you can see there's a restore historically disturbed area. So you can see the light squiggly line that's right along the 25-foot no disturb.
Yep.
So that area, when this area was cleared some years ago, they cleared into the 35. So we've proposed to restore that area of 35-foot no disturb as part of, on-site mitigation and restoration for that area, the 35-foot that was historically cut. If you go to the next page, it's a little clearer as to, yeah, you can see kind of the highlighted green there. So we have the 4 rain gardens and then that area of the 35. And then we have a detail off to the right that outlines the 4 rain garden plantings. And then the 35-foot restoration is that middle detail on the right. Yeah, if you scroll down, there you go. There's the 35 no disturb restoration. So we're restoring that with 5 trees, 7 large witch hazel shrubs, and then a bunch of low bush blueberry, maple leaf viburnum, which are all native and, they're located on site as well. They just, obviously this will be heavier planted to cover that area. So that would restore the 35-foot that was historically cut there. And then Mia, if you can pan over to the upper right, we've added a rain garden signage. So that's the detail of the wording on the sign. And then on the plan view off to the left, we show the rain garden signs and their location around each rain garden. There's 2 to 3 signs per rain garden, generally along the sides of the driveways. Yeah, they were actually on the other plan, Mia, because that other plan was getting too busy. So yes, if you zoom in near the colored rain gardens there, you'll see, you can see rain garden sign typical. So there's 3 on that northerly one. There's 2 around rain garden 3. And then going to the south, there's 4 signs on that middle rain garden and then 3 on the lower one. So they're all in areas that would be adjacent to either, potential snow plowing or mowing. So hopefully that will help keep people, and there is actually information on each sign about maintaining the mulch, weeding and things like that. And then the operation and maintenance plan that we had submitted a draft of, there are guidelines in there for maintaining rain gardens as well. So,
Brian, have you been to planning board yet?
No, we have not. Just given some of the past stuff, planning board last couple of times, they wanted to make sure that we were good with Conservation
Yep.
Commission. So
Okay, good.
we
Yeah, my
have
question-
been assigned before design review, and there are people from planning board that sit in on that. And that's how the architectural units that Hamid has presented here were kind of guided through that design review on sizing of the units. Obviously they got into some more of the architectural details and things, but these are the final plans that Hamid came up with the architect, with some of the input from the design review board and planning. So, but we have not filed the special permit yet with planning.
My question here, I guess, is with the proposed snow storage areas, being so close to the road, I wonder if there'd be any concern about loss of sight for people coming out of the driveway or not.
I don't think so. I mean, they'd have to be really large snow piles, and if they were that big, I think everybody along that road would be dealing with that same situation. But I guess, if we had that snowfall that we had, what was that, 8 or 10 years ago, where we all had 10 or 12 foot snow piles at our driveway, we probably would. But that's a small area that they'd be plowing that close to the edge of the road. I mean, most of that stuff would be plowed in along the side. I guess if it got that high, yeah, they'd have to deal with it just like everyone else and either cut it down or pay to have it taken away, I guess.
Yeah, not our jurisdiction, but I'm just curious when I see that, if that would
Yep.
cause you to come back here, that's all. So,
Yep.
okay. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Just on the snow removal or places to plow it, to watch out for the school buses. I don't know, that's only a couple times a day, but it could interfere somehow. Kids coming through and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know on that. That'd be, whoever's snow plowing it, if these guys have, one, I don't know if each owner will have their own snow plow guy. Some people may have their own truck with a plow. I'm not sure, but obviously they'd have to, apply some common sense and safety when they plow.
Maybe something more interesting. Kelly, you're like, I'm gonna go down the.
I don't know what that was.
Good music.
It beats my dog barking. So we've outlined rain garden planting there, the species and plant count. I know that was one of the requests Mia had, so those are all identified in the detail there. Yeah, if you that's the rain garden plant schedule. And on the left, we actually have the species count and the rain garden in it for each rain garden. So they're all identified there, whether it's a shrub or a large shrub or small shrub or the herbaceous planting. So I think we've addressed everything that was requested at the last hearing. We did get a DEP file number. They had no comments, which I guess is not surprising for a buffer zone project with less than 4 units, but
Good, thanks, Brian.
sure.
Any more questions from the commission? Public comment. A few folks on the phone here. I don't see any hands up. Double check that. Nope. Going once, twice. That's it. All right. Very good. No questions from the commission. Apparently everything we asked for has been addressed. Mia, you're good with everything here?
Just 2 small comments. For the rain garden signs, I'd like to recommend only 1 sign per garden, just because it's not that big of a site. It'll save some money, and I just don't want to oversign it. And then the others is the O&M plan. I later when we talk about conditions, usually we require the O&M plan to be appended to the order. So I will need a final version. The one I have is labeled draft.
Okay. I can email that to you tomorrow.
We can probably bring this to a vote tonight.
Move to close the hearing.
Motion from Todd. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Tom Beals. Roll call vote to close the hearing. Tom Beals,
yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
And I would move to issue an order of conditions for 0, 97, and 99 Lincoln Street, DEP file number 247-1200.
Can we talk about special conditions?
With the conditions that you would, the two conditions that you would just ask for.
So append the O&M plan. I'd also like you have a condition, it's a special condition you add requiring 75% success after 2 growing seasons. That's usually for replication or restoration, but I'd also like to see it in the rain gardens.
Okay.
It's not in your boilerplate.
You want that applied to the 35-foot buffer restoration as well, I assume?
Yep.
Okay.
After 2 growing seasons in the rain gardens and restoration area, the 35-foot restoration area. And then my last question about, I think I'm satisfied with the permanent markers, which is a sign on the split rail fence. I'm fine with those. I want to confirm the commission is satisfied with those. I would like to add or approved equal so that if the homeowner comes in and just absolutely hates split rail fences, they can come in and discuss it with the commission. And then the last thing is if there's a shared septic, so there's one septic for each of the 2 units. So I imagine that there's going to have to be some type of agreement. For a single family home, I would not require annual reports on their infiltration systems and rain gardens, but where they're already going to be sharing the responsibility of the septic. So I'm kind of on the fence about it. We're leaning towards more stormwater management, annual reports. I want to know if the commission wants to see annual reports on the maintenance of these things, the rain gardens and the roof infiltrators, or if you want to treat this more as a single family house and it's just sort of they're responsible, but no annual reports.
It's never going to happen. Even if you ask them to do it, it's never going to happen. So
Good
I
point.
vote no.
It's not a commercial business.
We're hoping the signage and the rain gardens, the way where they're sited and designed, they will, be maintained on they don't take a lot of maintenance if they're built correctly and left alone. So.
what about the septic systems? Is that an annual clean out recommended for those, or how does that go?
You're a little bit garbled.
I
I was asking about the septic system, since there's 2 families on 1 system on each house. How often do they have to be cleaned out?
Well, each unit will have its own septic tank, so they can maintain the septic tanks just as you would your own if you're on a septic system like I am. But the leach fields themselves, if they're, if the tanks are pumped out every 3 to 5 years, the leach field itself should last quite a long time, and we have really good soils out here. So each unit has its own septic tank that will be maintained as well as a pump system on each one.
Thank you.
Any more questions? All right, Todd has made a motion with the special
second.
conditions. Who seconded that? Tom?
Yes.
Seconded by Tom Beals. Roll call vote minus Kelly Marston. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes,
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Brian, all things considered and all future approvals, when do you think you'd start your actual cutting in there and working there?
I'll defer to Hamid on that, but I would hope hopefully planning board, since they've already seen some of the initial stuff,
Yeah, we were hoping to
Wrapping
start
up
a
the
lot.
septic system design on the north lot now, so.
Yeah, we were hoping to start a lot sooner, especially with the schools being in the vicinity. It would have made it a lot easier to get stuff done over the summer. However, we still have to go in front of planning board. It'll probably take a couple rounds over there. So we're hoping we can break ground, get our foundations in before the winter hits.
Right. Very well. Well, good luck, Hamid. And Brian, thanks for working with us on some items here.
Sure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. We have an RDA here. Let's see, we have with Peter Breeze, is that the name? Yeah. And Eileen Breeze.
That's right.
All right. Hello, Eileen. We can see you and hear you.
Hi, good evening. How's everybody?
We are pretty good. Pretty good. So what's going on with One Lancaster Drive? I know that Mia's been working with you too. So
She has. She's come out a handful of times to visit with me and walk me through the process, which has been great. We abut the wetlands, as you can see on the map there, and we would like to put in a patio off the back of our house. And we have a porch off the back, and then we'd like to extend out a little bit, just to have a pervious paver patio. That's it, really.
can we flip back to the picture, Mia? So how far off of the wetland line would this patio extend to?
If you can see where that makeshift fire pit is, Mia's sort of touching it with her cursor there. It would go, I think it's 30, I think we said it was 34 feet from or 37 feet from the wetlands.
It was 37 was the closest. They're going to stay outside the 35-foot buffer.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yes. So Mia came out and we measured one day. So it's close to the 35-foot buffer, but does not go over it. And it's hard to perhaps see in the photograph there, but the grass beyond the grass is a downhill slope towards the stream. And I don't know, Mia, if there's a way to see that or not, but yeah, so that's where you see the tree on the left-hand side, and like where the grass ends and the vegetation changes. There's a significant downhill slope towards the stream from there.
There we go.
Yeah, that's it.
So is there going to be any excavation here involved, or is just going to be?
If you go back to the photo, one of the first photos, we're going to need to add some fill. So we're not going to excavate per se, but we probably need to raise the level a little bit in order to just make the patio level. Because where the fire pit is, we think there may have been a tree there once. There's a bit of a depression in that area, and it does actually collect water. So to raise the level, when it rains really hard, it's very soupy right there. But so we won't be excavating, but we'll probably add fill to make it even level, or level with the drainage towards the stream, if that makes sense.
And then are you gonna have a landscape architect put in the patio? You gonna do it yourself, or?
We have the Campos Brothers landscaping company that will be doing it, and he's done a lot of he came by the house and met with my husband, does a lot of work in the area and had, you know, he assured me that he's done a lot of work alongside wetlands before and was talking about the different barriers that they use and to protect the land around the wetlands. And he said he would be using rubber, not metal wheels, like the rubber tire things. Rubber track, the track.
For what they set the bricks into, or the
The Bobcat will be a rubber tire instead of a track machine. It's not going to rip up the whole backyard. She won't need to replace the grass. The disturbance will be minimized to the patio area.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about erosion control devices with some fill coming in?
We do want to see a barrier there. I think a wattle would be fine. You know, a staked straw wattle.
Around where the patio is going to go,
Mhm.
on a half
Let me
moon
see.
type of thing?
Yeah, you had that picture, Mia.
Mhm.
I think it's that pinkish.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that would be beyond 25 feet.
All right, good enough. Any questions from the commission or comments? Nothing. All right, see, we have any abutters? You
Yeah.
don't see any?
Well, we do, and they've been notified either by me personally, and I got their signatures, or there were two that I sent certified mail to who I was unable to get in touch with.
Yep, I'm looking to see if they've showed up for the meeting here. I
Oh,
don't believe. So.
I see.
Yeah. No hands being raised, nobody
Yeah.
asking for access. Okay,
They were,
fine.
they're ready to come over and hang out on our patio, Greg.
Was that an outdoor shower that I saw there? You an outdoor shower?
Do we have an outdoor? I don't know. No, we don't.
It looked like the very end there was an outdoor shower of the house. You know, the house there, that side, but maybe it's a garbage storage area. I don't know. All right, we're going to vote here. This is going to be, I believe, we're looking for a negative determination with conditions. That seem reasonable?
Yes. And the conditions would be the erosion control barrier beyond the 25 foot and that the patio remains outside the 35 foot.
Yep. Need a
And to call for an inspection of the erosion control barriers prior to the start of work.
not hay. We need a motion to move forward.
So moved. That's
Second.
Motion made by Todd Helwig. Is there a second? Second by Kelly Marston. Roll call vote. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yep.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy.
Stay close to me. Stay close to me on that one. So,
You
Give
got
me a
it.
call
got
once
it.
the erosion controls are installed and I'll come out and take a look.
Okay, fantastic. Thank
You
you.
can start work whenever.
thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Okay, good night.
All right. Our COCs, we have two for the same location. 36 Moore Lane.
Yes. So these are the orders for the construction of the house and the construction of the pool. And then there was a third order for the construction of a garage. They did get a certificate of compliance for the construction of the garage. And they had an as-built in that file. So these two previous, they're selling the house. So these two previous open orders came up. But we have an as-built. I did a site inspection and confirmed that everything was constructed as approved and there's no observable violations. I do have photos if you want to see. It's beautiful.
Good, let's take a quick look.
Okay.
That looks nice.
Can you see? Are you looking at the pool or the driveway?
This is the pool.
Okay, let me keep that one open. So they did the pool. There's a fence just as proposed, really close, and right behind it's completely wild. And you can see again, that's the walkway to the pool, and the area to the
This one.
right
Yep.
is completely undisturbed. And you see the existing garage, detached garage over there. So,
A while ago, Mia, right? We did this.
I put the date on the agenda. It was 1991 was the house and 2001 was the pool.
Okay. Any questions from the commissioner comments? Nope. No comments, then we need a motion to accept.
Oh, sorry, Greg. There is a hand up from Gerald Simone, I
Gerald
believe.
Simon of Simone, sure.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So
You want to bring him in?
absolutely. So Gerald, I believe you have permission to talk, and I can promote you to panelist if you need to share anything.
Yes, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Okay. I'm the Realtor with Matthew Newton Sotheby's, and my question is, can I pick up a certificate tomorrow because the closing has already happened, and there is some money that's held back in escrow, and the attorneys need that. So I'd be happy to pick it up at your office tomorrow, if possible.
Let me look at my calendar. I mean, the morning looks free. If you want to come in around 10, I can try to have them ready for then.
Okay. If that's when I need to come in, fine. How about I have a? Could it be
Oh, no,
after
anytime
12?
is, yeah, after 12 is fine.
Oh, that's fine, because I had the meeting
Yeah.
at 11 o'clock. Okay.
No, that's
perfect.
fine. And anytime after 10. I'll
Okay,
be
perfect.
here. I'll leave them at the front desk.
Perfect. Will do. Thank you very much.
Hey, Mr. Simone,
Yes.
before you leave, just a question on the side. How long was the house on the market? Just curious.
A few days. Like 3 days. We had a couple of offers, and
No,
things are going
no,
fast
it
these
took
days.
forever and it was very painful, Greg. You're not going anywhere.
All right.
But
very
if you're
good.
interested, and you need a realtor, I'm always out here.
There we go. Okay. Thank you very much. Curious.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. I think we go to violations now, Mia, right? One of our favorite areas. Seems like a monthly area we have now.
'Tis the season.
It is the season. So we have two on the agenda. We have 314 Church Street and 136 Davis Street. Let's start with Davis Street. 136 Davis Street. I believe it's Leah Laceno. I see Leah here. Thank you, Jim. I don't see her joining us yet. There she is. Welcome, Leah. And I see you're not muted.
Hi there, thank you. It's Leia.
Leah, thank you. Okay, it was 50-50. I'd have it. I went the wrong way.
No
Okay.
worries.
Very
That's
good.
not like Star Wars.
So this is a violation. I think it was, I know that I noted it and another commissioner also noted it. Everybody know where the house is? It's the house, you go down Route 20 and you cross over the Davis Street lights. There's a house right there in the peninsula of that. And there are wetlands in back, and I believe there was a driveway put in or enhanced, Leah, right?
Yeah, it was extended, and apologies because I hired a professional paving company, which I'm still operating under the assumption that this is part of their duties to make sure that they file permits. Not something I'm familiar with, so please bear with me as I navigate this conversation.
So you've had conversations with the paving company, right?
Are you asking me or Leia?
I'm talking to you, Mia.
Oh, yes, I reached them today. Lepercio Paving and Excavating. I had called a few times, got through to them today. He was apologetic. He didn't realize there were wetlands there. And I can share some photos. Let me share first the location just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So this is Route 20 and this is Davis Street. And it's the house on the corner here. And she also owns this lot here. And the wetlands, it's hard to see, they do come right up into this area. And then we'll get some pictures from the site. It looks like she just had the driveway repaved. And when it was done, they did some, let me share you those photos.
And the front load was pretty well into the.
Yeah,
woods
that's
there.
the biggest concern right now. So when I spoke to David Lapercio today. Let me go slower. We can get to that. Okay. So the driveway wasn't really extended. It was mostly extended in the back away from the wetlands so that they could put in a basketball hoop. The side is pretty much the same, but you can see this area was disturbed along the side. The edge of the driveway, hold on, I wrote it down. I think it was at 56 feet. And that's going to come in handy later because, you know, this type of work would have been an RDA, greater than 50 feet, just the repaving and the site work. So this is the back corner. I spoke to David about this. I said, you know, if you could spread this area out. He said it was all poison ivy. And I guess Leah has little kids, so he took it upon himself to scrape out the poison ivy because he didn't want the basketballs going into the poison ivy. And Leah has said that she is willing to let this area here, this is about 30 feet from the wetland. So the 25 foot has not been disturbed. It doesn't need to be restored. The wetlands are about 30 feet in this way. But she is willing to let this regrow. Her option is also to seed it and start mowing it and have it be a lawn, but installation of a lawn within the 50 foot would be the larger permit, the order of conditions, but that is an option that you guys can discuss. In this area too, this is all about 50 feet. The wetlands gets closer to the driveway as we get closer to the road. Sorry, that's a hickory. And then there's a piece of equipment that's parked here. So you see like this area isn't even really part of the driveway project. He had to store his equipment here and he made a little bit of a mess back here. So when I spoke to him today, I asked him if he would take these piles and spread them out as sort of like restoring the forest mat and let the area regrow. And I asked him to remove the machine as soon as possible. And the wetland is 16 feet from the edge of this pile. So they are within the 25 foot no touch here.
Hey, can we go back to the previous photograph of that? No, I'm sorry, keep going. Keep one more. Oh, one more. That's no, okay, keep going. I think it's that, well, this one here.
Okay.
So you say the options are to either what, to let that area in back just naturally be reclaimed, and then the second option is to plant some lawn, right?
Yep. So there's a permit is necessary. The permit for just the driveway, if they come in before the driveway was done, the permit would have been an RDA for refinishing a driveway and expansion towards the back within the 100-foot buffer, within the 100-foot buffer. If the project is the driveway and installation of a lawn within the 50-foot, that's the bigger permit. So you guys can discuss, at the site that day of that Leah found out about the violation, she had said she was willing to let the area regrow, but it's her property. So I want to hear from her what she wants to do with it.
Okay. Leah, what are your thoughts on what you want to do with there?
Yeah, thank you, Mia. I'm perfectly fine with letting it regrow. To be honest with you, I have a big front yard that I'm nervous to use with a young child, which is really why we dipped our toes in, in extending this driveway. So I'm happy to let that regrow, and that doesn't bug me at all. Again, I apologize that, there was a step missed in this process.
Well, that's fine. I mean, it's. I know that we look to vendors, qualified vendors, to know some of the rules and regulations
right
around what should happen too. So, questions, comments from the commission?
I guess my only question is, does it need anything for erosion controls until it regenerates?
I don't think so. It has this I wonder if I can get closer here. Do you see this squished up forest mat?
Yeah.
That's acting as a barrier. And then the front too. Let's scoop over to the front. Do you see how he kind of squished it here? And he's going to spread it back out again. It's the better barrier than anything. And the soil you can see is nice and sandy. And it actually kind of dips towards the road a little bit to this depression here.
Okay.
It was pretty wild before on Google Maps. I think it'll come right back in. But if you'd like to see a barrier, we can ask for one.
No, just, I was asking for your professional opinion.
Good, Tom?
Yes, all set.
Good. Okay. Any other question in the commission? Comments? Okay. So I think are we gonna vote, Mia? We're looking for an after the fact RDA here to be delivered to us next month?
Yeah, you don't need to vote on anything. It's just an informal discussion. But I would like to take a consensus of the commission if you would allow for me to assist Leah with the filing of an RDA for the work for the August meeting, for the installation of a driveway beyond the 50 foot.
Yeah, fine with me. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So Leah, I can email you all that information, and it's a step-by-step process. I think I told you the most tedious part is the notification to abutters. So if you have any questions, give me a call, and we'll start that application probably tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for all of your help. I appreciate it.
Okay, super. Thank you, Leah.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Okay. Yeah, man, when you spoke to the paving contractor, he did a little bit of mea culpa, right?
Yeah, he apologized, and he said he'd get the equipment out of there as soon as possible.
314 Church Street, Eric Hyder. Eric is, there we go. Thank you, Jim.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hi, Eric. Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, how you doing today?
Super, super. Thanks for joining us. So, Mia, you saw we still get a violation on the street. It's pretty visible, right? So we've had some phone calls from concerned citizens. Do we have any pictures?
We do. Okay, can you see it?
Yes.
It's a little house that hasn't been inhabited for some time on 314 Church Street. Many of you be familiar with it because it got their septic replaced in like 2016 and a COC in 2017.
Yes, yes, okay.
Let's see. So I spoke with Eric. He said he had cleared the area just so they could do a Title V and he could get his equipment in, and didn't realize there were wetlands. Let me see if I can get the picture with the wetlands. Sorry. Where's the picture with the wetlands? It's right along the drive.
I remember this house because of that really nice fieldstone fireplace.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We always park in it when we go to hike across the street.
Oh, really?
Not anymore.
I think I dropped a photo. I guess this is the best one I've got for now. It's over here on the left. I'm standing in the driveway, and right to the left here is a wetland, and the wetlands have creeped up since our last application. And so he may have hit the edge of the wetlands. So I asked Mr. Hyder to stop work and to hire a wetlands consultant to assess if the wetlands were damaged and to file a permit to move forward.
Okay. All right. You're talking probably a notice of intent, correct?
Depends what his scope is.
Okay.
You know, if the wetlands were altered, yes, it would be notice of intent to restore. The minimum would be an RDA, a request for termination of applicability for the restoration of the 25-foot buffer. But then the driveway's in pretty poor condition, so that might need to be redone.
It looks like most of the area is jurisdictional, right?
Yes. Most of the properties within the 100-foot buffer.
Eric, what's your plan for the property?
Basically, the plan was to kind of keep everything the way that it is. I wasn't going to do any real structural alterations to the building itself. I had thoughts of, only because of the layout of the property of actually flipping the garage and possibly moving the driveway. Only because the couple of times that I went there, that whole side's kind of, not a, looking at it, it's not, doesn't look right. Doesn't look like that should be the front side of the house. It seems like the driveway should go on the other side. And, now knowing that there's wetlands right there, it might be a smart idea to get the engineer to draw something new where the driveway's on the back side of that garage. But depending on the Title V data, we may have to do a repair. I'm not 100% sure yet, but time will tell with that. But other than that, I basically just kind of went in there and cut the weeds down because most of them were about, the height of my excavator cab. So I kind of went in there just to try to get the surveyor a little bit of help to walk through it and navigate it a little bit easier. And I brought the excavator to pick some of the brush up, not to do any actual excavation, but just to move the brush so that I could access with construction material to get to the house once I have my building permit filed.
So we don't know if we'll see him back here or not with an NOI, right? We don't know that yet.
Depends on the scope of the proposed work, but we, at minimum, my recommendation is the minimum you should require, if no other site work is proposed, is an RDA for the restoration of the 25-foot buffer. But I think if you're going to do additional site work, you should just wrap it into a big notice of intent and cover all the site work in one permit application.
I have absolutely no problem restoring whatever needs to be restored. Righting the wrong. I apologize. I had no idea that was actually the wetland line. So I absolutely intend to restore that to its natural state.
We have a 25-foot no touch in Northborough, so we'd be looking for that. And we talked about that on the phone about Eric offered to install a line of erosion controls along the driveway to sort of limit the work, and then the area behind it could regrow starting immediately. It's a good season for it to regrow.
Definitely.
Questions from the commission? Comments? Okay, I don't believe we have some. We don't take public comments and violations, do we, Mia?
You could.
It is a public hearing.
Meeting.
I don't see any hands up. Okay. So we're looking for a negative determination here with some conditions?
No, we're looking for, I'm looking for the consensus of the commission if you're satisfied with the installation of erosion control barrier along the back of the driveway and allow that area to regrow for now. And all site work is stopped until we get a permit application.
Yes.
Okay.
Want to vote that?
Sure.
Okay, so we know we're voting on those two items that Mia just mentioned. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
And you're working with Cornerstone, is that right, Eric?
Yeah, Cornerstone right off of Route 20 up there.
Yeah. They've got my number.
Okay, good to know.
Very good. So we're gonna start the restoration here soon, yeah?
Yeah, hopefully. I actually called them right after I got off the phone with Mia this morning, and they must be pretty busy. I haven't gotten a return phone call back from them. But as soon as I get that plot plan and all that surveying and everything staked out, I should be able to file for the building permit and perform, start performing the work. So
great. We'll stay close to Mia. And any more work you do in Northborough, call into her is a good idea too. So she's your
Yes,
best friend
yes,
of that.
this is my first project by myself, so I'm kind of learning as I go here.
All right. Well, good luck on this one, and thanks
Yep.
for your cooperation. We look forward to that taking place. We may see you back here again. Who knows? So
Yeah,
there
absolutely.
with a notice.
We'll see what happens. Thanks again for your time, guys, and feel free to park there if you need to go for the walk across the street. Thanks again, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Other items here. I have two other items. Believe we have a new selectman liaison. Is this true, Mia?
Yes, and he's here if you want to say hello.
Scott Rogers. Let's bring Scott in. Can we do that? There we bring Scott into us. We got a hand up. Here he is. Okay, Scott, you're muted. You're unmuted. Excellent.
I'm not sure how good the video is showing at the moment. A little bit there.
That's super. Well, so you're the new liaison for us, eh?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Good news. I know you've been very active attending the sessions before and spending time with Mia doing some site walks and site visits and learning the
Yeah,
regs.
exactly. So, appreciated your all's meetings and being able to, watch the sessions that I haven't been able to participate in directly. So, kind of the silver lining of all this, right, is being able to watch everything that's going on in town. And then, yeah, Mia was very gracious the other day in letting me tag along on 2 site visits. So, learned a boatload on that day, and definitely each meeting of you guys, I learn even more. So that's great to see.
Well, Mia has a plan that the next time we have a Hatfield McCoy situation, she's going to drag out for that one, and the pitchforks, the burning. That's great. You'll enjoy that one too.
There's so many, there's only 4 sites I need a +1, and I start with Fred. If he's busy, it's Greg. And so now you're on the list. Tom comes too sometimes. And Todd, you've been my +1 before. So.
Sounds great. I'd look forward to it. Yeah. Any time you need me or any help I can give the commission on any of the projects, just let me know.
Super. Well, that might be coming up sooner than we know, but that's great. It's good news, Scott. Super. Thank you. The second item here, Mia, an update, is the Pisgah parking lot. Now, you and I had a conversation earlier about that. Looks like things might have moved a little bit since then. I did see the note from Kathy. Maybe you can update us on where we stand with that.
Sure. So we sent the letter out as you guys.
Let me
had
interrupt 1 second here.
described.
When I say Pisgah parking lot, I should say ATV purchase.
Yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
So that letter went out. And just today, right before the meeting, I got a list of questions. I'm going to try to pull them up.
You provide answers to all those questions, Mia? I bet you probably can.
I'm trying to see, Todd, your email address is in this. I'm going to see if I can block it out.
That's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Just plant development goals. It's a good reason to do that. So there you go.
All right. I'll share the screen then. It's a lot of questions. So this is a PDF of the email. I'll zoom in. So a couple, we'll start with the first one. What are the expectations of the Conservation Commission when ATV were to be purchased? If it's to have the town police department patrol the trails on a daily, weekly basis, there isn't the staff in the police department, or do you see the use of the vehicle to be on as needed basis? As if there's a specific problem brought to the town's attention, one of the officers can go investigate using the ATV. Although the commission may have funds to purchase the vehicle, there's training involved and also allocation of staff to use the vehicle. This, I think, was covered in your initial discussions, and we can formulate a response already because Chief Liver from the police, you and he had this discussion during the Pisgah land management conversations that this ATV would reduce the amount of time the police needed to help with the issues up there on Mount Pisgah, and that he had room under his insurance umbrella to put the ATV in there. He had room in the garage, and he had a mechanic that he would be willing, he was going to put plates on it, register it, insure it, maintain it, and store it and even had a trailer we could use. And so he saw it as a net benefit and a decrease in time and staff time and money. And as far as training, Chief Leiber said that there is free training for regulatory officers, so I could be included. And the training would be safety on an ATV, and it's also and it's offered by Honda. So it's in, we're buying the Honda, so we'd be now Honda owners, and they would train us. And it's also on trails. You get trained how to use an ATV to minimize impacts to natural areas. So those are the two trainings he would send us to. We could ask staff. I would be willing to go to these trainings outside of staff time. They're both beneficial to me. But we'd have to check with Chief Leiber to see if his officers would be willing to attend those trainings on their own time. So I feel like we addressed already question 1 during our initial discussions.
On question 1, are you going to take the information that Chief Leiber gave us? Or are you going to run it by him before we put it into print?
Yep, I'm going to confirm it all with him. That's my last question. We'll get to that as our response. So then John is requesting information from other towns regarding their use of an ATV to patrol their trails in open space. What towns do this? Which department is responsible? How many hours per week? The size of the properties, miles of trails, and how is it budgeted? This is a big ask. I spoke with a lot of people in Maine on ATV use because they have an ATV task force as part of the coalition of land management groups. You know how we have multiple agencies. There is not a similar one in Massachusetts, so I would have to reach out to my listservs, find other towns that had ATVs, this kind of thing. If you feel this is necessary to respond to, I will spend the time to do that.
I don't think it is, unless anybody has any input or previous knowledge that we can chase down.
Yeah, I don't particularly see the point. I mean, it's land within Northborough that illegal activities happening on. I think that falls within the jurisdiction of the police department.
And it's very common. When I spoke with the Maine task force, I mean, there was forest managers, fish and wildlife managers, trail managers at every level, local, state, and federal. And they all worked together. They had they each had their own ATVs, but they had a common set of rules and regulations. Number 3, would some sort of new program, such as See Something, Say Something, advertised by the Conservation Commission and Trails Committee, be more effective in spreading the word about curbing violations on the trails? And number 4, how effective have the trail cameras been on Mount Pisgah?
Yeah, didn't we all already address number 3 in a sense with some signage about report violations or?
We did outreach. We reached out to the community advocate, Facebook, the Trails Committee Facebook page, the Conservation Commission and Trails Committee websites. We did town news alerts about cutting, and if you see something, report it.
And the 8-foot tall signs that were placed 8 feet up on trees were taken down.
Yes. I think most of them are still there. Tom's signs are still there.
I think the one over by, the one I'm familiar with closest to me has come down.
All the ones I put up were ripped down, but Tom put some more robust signs up, and some of those are still there. And then how effective have the trail cameras been on Mount Pisgah? I don't know how effective they've been. I have seen a cease in cutting, and that area on the south overlook has regrown, but I don't know if that's because of the cameras or because of the outreach.
I mean, it just seems to me, you don't have to do this very often. I mean, if you see them out there once or, twice a year even, and they're out there and somebody bumps into them and they see the police on the thing, that's going to send a message.
We had talked about weekly patrols. And then if there were issues, certain areas would be patrolled more often in response to those issues. That's what we had discussed in the land management conversation. And they're not going to patrol every inch. There are trails on Pisgah that are not wide enough. There are boardwalks behind the high school property. We're not going to be going there. And those boardwalk bridges can't support the ATV. So it's really like the main trails on Pisgah, the main trails on Edmund Hill. it's really a presence, and regular weekly inspections of large areas will get us to notice problems.
I think some of the residents would probably feel good seeing the patrols out there. They'd feel safer.
So it's up to you what type of response you'd like to do.
I mean, that's what John, these are the ones that John's looking for. I think the input from Chief Liver should be fairly significant.
Yeah, I can confirm with him that he's still, he and I spoke on the phone, and every time we speak about different things, and every time he's like, how's the ATV? Gonna buy the ATV? So I'm pretty sure he's still on board, but I definitely will confirm. I can write these out as to what we discussed. I'll go back in the minutes, confirm it, and then call him up, make sure he's still on board with those same answers. In number 1. Number 2, what type of response would you like there?
I mean, I know there's police chat boards. I don't know if it would help to put it out asking what other towns have ATV programs and see what response you get from them to come up with some list. But I agree with Todd. I don't know how much of this is actually relevant to our town.
Yeah, it sounds like John's going to get this. This is what he's looking for from other towns.
It says he's requesting information from other towns.
Is he requesting it from you to get from other towns, or is he actually requesting it from other towns?
For me to get it.
Oh, he is. Okay.
So didn't you say you've already done this and you didn't come up with anything?
People don't advertise that they have an ATV program. So when I was looking for ATVs, I contacted local land managers and then Googled, ATVs on trails, found the Maine ATV task force, called them up. They called me back. We spoke for a while.
Say that, and we're not aware of any other towns utilizing this innovative land management technique.
Once again, Northborough is cutting edge.
Right.
I could ask SVT if they know of any other towns in their area that use
That's probably
ATVs.
a good plan. That's probably a good.
I was thinking SVT or MAC, one of those. And maybe Chief Liver may have some police chief contacts where he gets some information too.
I mean, so my question is, number 2 is like a report. Is that the response we're looking to come up with? Which towns, which department is responsible, how many hours per week, size of property, miles of trails, how is it budgeted?
I think if you get the first couple, that's going to be a big progress, a lot of progress.
Right. I would say if you were to get some input and response from either other police departments or Sudbury Valley trustees or some other land management people, as to if they're using that as a resource, could be even maybe Mass Wildlife.
Good idea. So my concern is that this is a big ask, and I don't have the time right now to do this report.
Yeah, and you shouldn't do it. It's busy work. So I don't think you make a couple calls and it's an hour. I don't think you do a report. If it's a report for you, then drop it.
Is that okay with the rest of the commission? I mean, I could do this in the off season and not during construction season. I could do a report like this.
So Mia, is he just asking for proof or documentation that other entities use ATVs to patrol?
I got this minutes before the meeting. So, and I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm really bad at reading between the lines. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly what he's looking for.
Because my agency, we use them all the time for patrols. So.
Ooh, Tell us more, Dan.
Well, we have rangers, so we have our own, internal ranger staff, but ATVs are used all the time for patrols, for just general patrols, but also to chase down other ATVs that aren't supposed to be there. So you can't catch an ATV on foot. You got to be on an ATV.
Where is that?
So this is all water supply land. So we do it, Quabbin, Wachusett, the Ware River. So there's certainly precedent that this is something a land management agency uses as an effective tool to monitor their properties. I don't think there's any question about that, if that's what he's asking.
So I just Googled Massachusetts Police ATV Unit and I got Harwich, Mashpee, Hanson, Wareham, Sandwich, Gloucester, Scotland. They all seem like coastal,
Yeah.
but there's a lot.
What's it called? Police. Oh, you're muted again.
Police ATV Unit.
Okay. So I would feel comfortable with a response. So if you could assist me as to what you think he's looking for, I would be comfortable with a response that, many land management agencies use ATVs to inspect and manage their property. And, it is budgeted out of whatever annual budget they have because it is just another tool in their toolbox. It is not excessive or strange. And I don't think we need to formulate a full report to justify the need. That's already been done with the discussion meetings you had over the winter.
I agree with that, Mia.
Good to me.
Excuse me. And Mia, next week I'll have some cycles to help out. I mean, I can make a phone call to Chief Liver or Mac to see what we can get out of that.
So what I'm used to responding to things with like spreadsheets and data and reports. I don't know if that's needed in this.
No.
No. I think you kind of mentioned earlier about at a high level summary of, what towns do this and some examples, which department's responsible. If that's easily available, you can throw that down. How many hours per week is it done? Yeah, size of properties, miles of trails, how's the budget? I think any of that information would be fine, but not a spreadsheet. More of maybe like a one-page summary type of thing, a list.
And then number 3, with some sort of new program such as See Something, Say Something. I think we touched on that we did do
Already
public.
done it.
We
Yep.
did public education and outreach for many months. And then how effective do you guys think the trail cameras have been?
I have a question for you, Mia. On the trail cameras, how high up did you put those?
I use a small step ladder, so they're about 9 feet, like you can't reach them from the ground.
I think there's an article in one of the Mass Wildlife magazines this year. I can't remember which one it was, that tells you pretty much how to set them all up so that you're aiming at a different angle. I mean, people would think you're going to look up, but you might want it down lower, because it would give you different perspective, but also catch more people because they're looking for it to be down low. I'll see if I can find that for you.
Thank you. They've only been up 3 months and I check them monthly, so I do make adjustments. And there's a lot of videos on YouTube about it that have been very helpful.
But they're there as a deterrent, right? I mean, if you see somebody doing something, they're not going to put up a driver's license to the camera to say who they.
No.
It's the thought that they're there and that you might be captured. Again, it's a deterrence thing.
I put one at Watson Park and I put up this area is under surveillance sign, and the dumping is already just like 99% less. It's only been there a month.
And Peter, also, I mean, Kathy's going to be the one to provide this information, right? I mean, and you may do the legwork, but it's going to come from her. Is that accurate?
I'm not sure. She then writes at the bottom, he may have more questions for me tomorrow, but hopefully not. So I'm not sure if he has time for a conversation with me. I imagine I'm just gonna draft an email to respond to these questions.
You may want to make sure you sit with her too first. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And again, we view the cameras as part of a multi-pronged approach to solving the land management problem.
And right now they don't cost anything other than batteries, and even the batteries last a few months. I haven't had to change the batteries yet.
I view this as a little bit of progress. At least the conversation's taking place.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to start somewhere.
Definitely. All right, so I will formulate a response and sit down with Kathy, see if he has any more questions. I don't have any more trail camera pictures for you because it's been too wet this week to grab them. So next month you'll get July's and August, or June's and July's. And Watson Parks, I'm not looking forward to that one.
Yeah, we don't want to put that on a family channel, right? So. Okay. All right. Good. Good. That's the agenda that I have, Mia.
Okay. Let's see. I think that was everything I had.
Kelly may know more about this, but was there on the day of the storm, looked like they had a pretty big breakout over at the Lake Chauncey Del Webb project that was coming across the street brown
Really?
over by
I called it in to Westboro.
over by where the power plant is. They had a crew
Yeah.
out there doing something, but they
Really?
were just kind of standing around looking at it at the time I saw it.
It was so bad.
That Westboro, is that Westboro, Kelly?
I didn't know which town it was, and I know I've seen Derek out with the Lynch guys, so I thought it was Westboro on that side, so I called it in, and I knew engineering was out at the time, so engineering went right over. But it was just pouring over the road. But I saw Lynch there in the morning when I went to work, and then they were just standing on the side of the road shaking their head when I came home from work.
Oh.
Yeah.
That part of it was definitely in Westboro where it started. I don't know if that's where it ended up.
I don't know.
Yeah, we only have one big site open right now, and that's 400 Cedar Hill Street, the football fields, the New England football, the soccer fields. And that site's beautiful. It's pretty flat, great soils, and they're ahead of schedule. They even got their binder coat on already early.
One on Route 20 just looked like a big muddy pool.
Which one? The old Del Greco?
No, the one next to the Jeep place.
Oh yeah. Oh, I should walk that one.
Yeah,
Although
at
they
the bottom, it
they
was
haven't
just-
scraped it yet. It's still got all that forest mat, so it should be okay.
Yeah, he had all the erosion control, and then it was just filled with water. It looked like a muddy
Ooh,
hot tub.
I'll check that one.
What's that, Kelly?
Next to the Jeep place, you know, the
144 West Main.
the multifamily is going in with the aggressive retaining wall.
Yeah. All right. Anything else the commissioners have? Any comments or concerns or observations? How about the August meeting? Anybody not going to be here they know of now?
Thank you. August 16th. Remember, we moved it out a week. Anybody planning a vacation? Okay, so no Kelly.
I can be there.
Oh, you can? Oh, I thought you said you were planning a vacation.
I am going to be on vacation. I'm going to be in a cabin in Maine, but we're remote. So
You want to stay remote?
Remote.
All right.
if I have Wi-Fi, I'll be there.
Nobody else? Everybody else is good? It's my wedding anniversary, or our wedding anniversary, but as I told Sue, I mean, she'll have a great time participating as this as an observer. All right, very good. I think we're good then. Mia, I'll catch up with you and I can make some calls next week if you want to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, folks, great. Thanks for your help tonight and stay well and enjoy the summer.
All right.
Guys.
You too.
Thank you.